Okay.
Or do you prefer?
No, you was cool where you was at. I just need to know what was happening if I need to zoom out.
Which seat? They're going to be one person up at a time.
Okay.
Which seat you want to move this over so you can get this help?
Maxie, you good?
So leave it right here.
Yep, you're good. I'm gonna still have all 3 chairs in the shot so you're straight. Back. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You're good. Sometimes I guess you do this. I was just saying keep it at that level if you remember. Turn up.
Intentionality. And so I just took you through the process that I created called self. It takes you less than 60 seconds to gather your own emotional intelligence about yourself. You can do this daily. And since it only takes 60 seconds, I suggest that you start 2 or 3 times a day. Because the purpose of doing this process is to refocus on the woman underneath the roles, the responsibilities, and the expectations that we carry each and every day. The S is for stop, pause, breathe, and then ask yourself, instead of reacting, I choose to, and fill in the blank. The E is for emotion. Name it and claim it. One word, one feeling. What am I feeling now? And then we have the L, which is where most of us get lost. Listen. Ask yourself, what is this feeling telling me about me? Don't judge it. Just be aware of it. And then the F. The F is for forward. What is the next thing I can do to honor this feeling I'm having and move forward in a healthy way? Notice I said healthy way. So that took away my butter pecan ice cream. And healthy might look like taking a 20-minute nap or getting a glass of water. Or maybe it just looks like not doing another 5-year plan. But the self process teaches you to hear your own internal voice, your own internal signal. But this is the question. Whose signal? Whose voice did you actually hear? Did you hear the woman that the world made? Or did you hear the woman that God designed? I'm gonna really challenge you to do this self-process because it stops us from doing something that is very detrimental to us as leaders, as women, as girlfriends. It stops us from doing what I call emotional labor. Now, before I tell y'all the definition of emotional labor, when I give you the definition, if you found that you have done it in the past, or if you're doing it currently, I want you to just wave your hand, stomp your feet, do something. So an emotional laborer is busy doing the invisible work of managing everybody else's feelings and ignoring her own. Anybody been there? Yes. So if you do the self process and gather your own emotional intelligence on yourself first, you will stop doing that emotional labor that is detrimental to our spirit. So that brings us to, how do we learn to lead without losing ourselves? Action number 1, focus on yourself daily. You got to check in on yourself daily. Not when I fall down, not when I lose my job, not when I cuss somebody out, but you got to do it daily. When you are focusing in on yourself daily, it helps you to keep your identity. Now, I'm going to look at my notes just a little bit because I got a brain thing going on today. But who doesn't have 60 seconds to check on themselves? Anybody don't have 60 seconds? Wonderful. So when I send you your follow-up email, I want to see that you've done your 60-second check-in for today. So accountability is very important. Now, I want you to think about action number 2, because you've learned how to use your internal signal, your internal voice, and we're not going to do that emotional labor, right? Okay, we're not doing that emotional labor. But action number 2 is just as critical as action number 1. Be your authentic self. Be yourself. Not the one that the world made, not the one that people expect you to be, not who they told you you have to be, but be yourself. When you are being yourself, you are possible beyond all imagination. When you are being yourself, there is nothing you cannot do. But when we don't know ourselves, we're busy chasing validation. We're so busy saying yes when we mean no. We're busy measuring our worth by our productivity. Be yourself. And how do you do that? You have to be able to lead from a healthy place. When you're leading from a healthy place, it flows from your rooted identity. Your identity is everything. So, you have to be rooted in your core values, in your personal convictions, and in your faith. And when I think about roots, I always think about trees, because trees are my favorite thing in the world. I look at trees all the time. But when a tree gets thirsty, the leaves start to wilt long before the trunk falls over. Ladies, we need to know when we're thirsty. We need to know when we're starting to wilt from life's pains and struggles. We need to know and be aware of ourselves. Number 3, action number 3 is be aware. Awareness of yourself. Aware of what you need. Aware of when you get tired and weary. And notice, ladies, that I'm not saying rule number 1. I'm not saying step number 1. What word did I use? Action. Because in order to learn to lead without losing yourself, it is all about the intentional actions that you take. So the first action was what? Check in with yourself daily. The second action was be your authentic self. And we're going to do the third action. But I'm going to ask you to silently for 1 minute before we do this. I'm going to ask you to, no, we're going to partner, because partnership is nice. I'm going to ask you to pick a person next to you, and we're going to take 60 seconds for you and 60 seconds for your partner, which means that we don't have time for your stories, and we don't have time Okay, our time is up. Let's bring out a collective wisdom back to the front. I have space for two ladies to share a 1-minute sentence about what it looks like when they're losing themselves. Who wants to volunteer to go? Who wants to share?
I'll say when I lose myself, like I say things that I shouldn't say, like I don't care.
Okay. Somebody else share?
What you mean, crash out?
Yeah.
You know,
It takes
crash
a
out.
little bit to bring it, depending on the situation.
All right.
It takes a little.
So she loses control. What about you?
Actually, the losing was like something was feeling that before that. It was just like dismissing my feelings, this feeling that hit inside of me. And then the crash out there too was just like clearing that plate, clearing everything, so it was just set back to.
Yeah, this is self. Somebody else give me another example of what it looks
Okay,
like
well,
losing
you talk
yourself.
about this stuff. So
Okay.
let me tell you, I said I lose patience, and then I'm short, and I don't listen to you. Because now I'm like, what, hurry up, because I'm so overwhelmed with so much. What? And it turns rude. Then the other piece was losing yourself and so focused on what other people are expecting of you. So we evolved that part and said, and then she said that, and I was like, yeah, because once you know who you are, you finally come to you, but you wait so long to find out who you were. By that time, you're a whole other person once you realize
Yes.
the evolution is real.
Yes. Okay, go ahead, then I'll move on.
I would say one of the things that I said that I do, because I realize when it's happening, I look for accountability. So that I can say, hey, this is where I'm headed, so that I don't go all the way there, and looking for that accountability so that I don't isolate.
Okay. So isolation, dismissing your feelings, all these things are what it looks like sometimes when you're losing yourself. Now I know mine is bad. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to talk to you. I take my phone off. I'd be like, I ain't got time. I'm impatient. I'm rude. I'm all of that. So I try and catch myself because I'm checking in with myself. I don't have to go there, right? So the more you do that process, the more you stay in control of you. And I noticed all the energy in the room. We got to really thinking about what it looks like when we're losing ourselves. It was powerful. Because the truth is, We can be a rock on the outside, but inside we like sand. We drifting everywhere, crumbling all apart. And I want you to know that losing yourself does not always look like falling apart. So a person who's losing themselves on the outside, she is dependable. She's showing up. She's consistent. She is reliable. People trust her. And then on the inside, she's tired. Mentally, physically, and sometimes spiritually. She's tired. And then in her head, she's thinking, I can't drop the ball. Everybody's depending on me. And this is an all-time favorite. If I don't get it done, it will not be done right. Anybody said that before? Yeah, there's some of us here. And then what does her life look like when it's falling apart? She is giving more than what she receives. Always. And she don't have space for joy. So that is what it looks like when you're falling apart. It doesn't have to look like you going downhill. So we really need to stop and think about, when are we thirsty? When are our leaves starting to wilt? And that's why the emotional intelligence about yourself is so important. Because the quiet truth is this. The woman who is losing herself, she knows how to lead others. She knows how to lead herself. But she has forgotten to lead herself. That's the quiet truth about it. And losing yourself is not a requirement to be successful. It is not a requirement of leadership. It's not a requirement to be a good daughter, a good mother. It is not a requirement to be a good girlfriend. You do not lose yourself for anyone and anything, right? I just go back to remember your action steps, ladies. And how do you do that? The next action number is 4. It's boundaries. Have boundaries. Now I say boundaries and everybody go, oh. But boundaries are strategies. They're not being selfish. Boundaries don't just keep people out. They keep you in and on track. You are the gatekeeper. And most women, we've been taught, oh, be agreeable, be humble, and they don't even know what that word is. And they say, be humble and be accommodating. But how many of us have learned to protect our peace? How many of you have learned to rest without apologizing, to delegate without feeling guilty? What about just doing nothing?
Right.
You have that right. Give yourself that right. So we have to have boundaries. And so I'm going to have you do an exercise. And this is going to be a little longer, so y'all can really love me for that. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this exercise. And what I want you to do is there are 3 questions on the board. And if you can't read the board, I got some slips of paper with a question on it. And you raise your hand, I'll write it to you. Because I know some of us like glasses and everything else. But if anybody wants a copy. So what I want you to do is I want you to take 1 minute. Anybody else see it? I want 1 minute to silently answer the question for yourself. Oh, yeah, here too. I want you to take 1 minute to silently answer the question for yourself. And then I'll tell you when the minute is up. Here, take it. And then you can take the time to then do it as a group. Now, the thing about it is, you're not going to answer every question. You're only going to answer 1 question, and you're going to pick a question that makes your heart beat just a little bit faster, or you're going to pick the question that you don't want to answer, that you're trying to avoid, or pick the question that your intuition leads you in. So at this moment, take 1 minute to yourselves and pick your question, answer your question, and put a boundary around the question that you pick. Okay, now we'd like for you to pair up in groups of 3 or 4 and take 5 minutes, but I don't want you to share your answer to your question. I want you to share which question you answered and why you choose it. I think that would be a lot more insightful. So you can start getting groups of 3 or 4 and answer them a question that you picked. Sharing why you picked the question and why you answered it. You make it easy on yourself.
Looking at one of these questions, and she said we're not going to answer them, but just pick one and then think about it. But then she doesn't want us to say the answer to the question, but while we think it. So mine is question number 3. So I know that I'm supposed to have a first, right? I am supposed to be like out here, and you guys were in the session earlier, I get a little nervous. Part of my reason that I get nervous when I was in the second grade, I was in the study zone, right? I was the first person to get out on the most easiest part. But this doesn't mean that I know that I'm called to do great things. So when I get out of my way, I'm doing all the great things. But then when those intrusive thoughts come back in, I'm hiding. So I am going back, telling myself, like, you know what I mean? Like, why do you care? Right? Cool. Also, what was I missing? What do I need to do? Like right now, like I can go back and say, like, I have done so many different speaking things and been invited to do it. Why am I still so grateful? Why does it keep me out of spaces and rooms and not being able to like really embrace and invite the things this like that going on? And so I had to do that work to go back and say, well, why is this? So then I would go back, okay, well, the first time it happened, why did I feel that? Okay, well, what did you feel? Let's go back and look at it. And so it was the second person. And I don't know if like my mom knew at the time how embarrassed I felt myself. I studied and did all the work. I'm talking about, you know how they make you go like to grade, to grade, to grade. Like, okay, you stand next to the person's desk and you're like, okay, I'm beating them. I got all the way up to like the 6th grade, beating everybody. Got up there and I don't know, because back in the day we was wearing Jerry curls, right? Okay, don't tell my ex, but I was wearing little curls. I think my curl had activated already. You know what I'm saying? I don't know something was going on, but it was something in that that made me, and that's why I did that, because I want to be able to identify with what's that answer?
So there's nothing that I can see that you would ever need.
And so for other people,
Yeah, if you would, I would know it.
right. And so for other people, they say, okay, yes, but can you just imagine like that being afraid on how many rooms that I don't get into? You know what I mean? How many smaller places that I put myself in because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just work through this nerve. And then when I work through that nerve, I go back into the same small room and say, I still gotta work through the nerve. But I'm like, you get what I'm saying? So at this point, I really y'all get it, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, I know what I have is like, it's for people, but it's something in me that goes back to there. And it's sometimes where it's don't. Sometimes, when I say I go to the States and from Alabama to Chicago to all of them, I have done it. But then it's sometimes where I'm like, nice to see you. I'm surprised. Thank you.
Three times, I was like, nope, my friend with the thorn. Like, sometimes I feel like,
Okay, ladies, let's bring that collective wisdom back to the main group. I know, but let's bring it back. They only gave me 30 minutes.
Okay, guys, and speaker is for me because like I'm literally like driving.
Okay, y'all get 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. Anybody else need that? Ladies, you can want another minute.
She just don't know.
Okay, all
It's a
right.
little serious
We're
over
gonna
here.
give you 2 more minutes.
So,
Okay, 2 more minutes.
because I was about to grab my phone and write that down.
No, you just said it. We do. Because we want to be Fifi. So maybe it's not
I mean, and I do get that part of it, but sometimes like it is, you know, also being seen. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just okay, but you know, it's just so it plays this like thing in my head, and so you know, so sometimes I know that I hide it, so sometimes you know, and I'm working, you know, like, and even in the work and stuff that I do, being able to identify what it is I'm doing. The want has to outweigh the fear. You know what I mean? Because it's either, it's at the end of the day, it's a choice that you have to make. You know what I mean? Like, do I desire this more than I desire it? More than I would let it? Does that make sense? And I have them on my phone now. But they'll just show up in like different ways. But
you know, it's necessary.
One more minute, ladies. 1 more minute.
There's that competency there, but I wouldn't see like have that
All right, wind it up, ladies. Can I have one of those? Here's one in here. You're already making it.
You already did it.
All right, ladies, let's bring out that collective wisdom back to the front. I just love the energy and I've been eavesdropping on the conversation. And it's been a phenomenal conversation. So, just really quick, how many people chose question number 1?
I did them all, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I did them all.
How many chose question number 2? All right, and how many chose question number 3? All right, and how many said they did all 3? All right, 2 super troopers. Can I get one person from each group to say which question you guys kind of talked about or what hit you the most out of the conversation? Just one person from each group.
I'm trying to keep talking, man. You know I'm outspoken.
I'm gonna talk about it.
Okay.
It was between 2 because a lot of, we're all mothers. 2 of us have children in-house. And so when you're a mom, or like if you're both a mom, or and you're always needed, everything and everything. And so number 2 resonated with us.
All right, number 2, what's the next group? What resonated with you guys? They looking for you to answer my ballot. They pointed to you.
I thought it was like moving around this way. Oh my God.
They picked you to answer the question. That's what they do to leaders. You got pushed on you.
So, what I had said was, what is it?
Which question got talked about the most?
Okay, so we talked about question 3 the most, and it was because I shared my story of I was in the 2nd grade. I had the most embarrassing time for me, and I don't think that I completely healed from that. And so because of that embarrassment, it has caused me to be able to hide a little bit. But what we discovered is that I've already done it. I've already done the 2nd grade. I've already did the thing. So yeah, that's what.
All right. And what did this group question? What did you mostly which question the most?
No, we talked about number 3. I mean, we talked about a lot of stuff. I don't even know that I can get into it.
What was the reason why most of you talked about question number 3?
For me personally, I'm a go-getter, so I work, and I don't pay attention to my body and my emotions, so I get sick, and the sickness lasts forever, and when it goes away, I lose my voice, I'm sick in bed in 4 weeks, and so just overly exhausted, and just not paying attention to your body, but you can't do nothing, so now you can pay attention to yourself, but you know.
Being aware of those actions, and the group over here, which question you discussed?
We actually just.
It really blessed me, so the tips I did get in on, I did it. Okay.
And that little last bit that you added to our group, it blessed me too.
All these blessings.
Blessings all around.
I'm listening. Thank y'all. Any other comments?
Is that affirmation like written down somewhere?
It came out of my heart. But I tell you what, I would write it down to the best of my memory and I will send it to you. I had a different affirmation, but I got to feeling a different thing in my spirit, so I just gave you what I was feeling.
Thank you again so much for bringing on I was fed myself, I tell you. I didn't, you know when you don't expect to be fed, and you do, it changes things. It changes things. I took everything away. So 1, check in daily. 2, be yourself. 3, be aware of your actions. 4, boundaries. And 5, permission to evolve.
Excuse me.
I wanted to piggyback on that just a hair. My new saying to people, when we worried about other people, my new thing is, you know, what people are telling you and what you should be doing instead of listening to yourself. What I found is receiving feedback and information by proximity is not always good. Do you know what I mean by proximity? Like your family members who know nothing about where you are.
Right.
You know, just because we all from the same bloodline don't mean we got the same thoughts. So with that, remember the feedback. Think about where the information is coming from while you're stopping yourself. Now, I'm gonna bring this in. I'm glad we in closed doors. As I'm separated for 3 years, my husband is here. However, everybody who know me, like, we still gotta be cool. We ain't gotta be at each other. You know, it's an elevation, it's an evolution. And sometimes when you're going on the focus of the other, same thing, close proximity, that ain't your your vision though. You still have to have yourself. So just remember that in whoever it is. It don't necessarily have to be husband and wife. It can still be family for real. Woo! Family do a doozy on me.
I'ma tell you, I'ma walk
Because I'm listening to them and I'm like, oh, well, maybe I'm not that good. Maybe I should, because we ain't gonna make it.
Don't business with it.
Walk by what? Faith, not by sight. You know what I'm saying? So we have to remember that as we move in whatever relationship it is.
Some of the negative voices that like I have heard within me, I started spending more time with my mother, and I heard the same thing coming right out of her mouth. And it's just like it shed so much light on some of where that was coming from, and I realized that was never me. It was just stuff that I had internalized from my upbringing, and it was really negative. So in case anyone else is going through the same thing, that it's not always from you, and you can ignore that.
And break the chain. So break the chain.
Whose signal is coming from?
All right. Right. Woo, that was a good start. Now we're going to have our second speaker. That's going to be an open conversation of the importance of mental wellness and how our mindset shapes our personal and professional lives. And it helps attendees understand how those patterns, thought patterns, influence emotions and behavior, and how to reframe mental balance. Please welcome with Reset, Refocus, Reframe, Miss Summer Nicole.
Thank you. Ms. Lorraine, you're a hard act to follow because I got notes and I gotta read them. So, first of all, I just want to thank Crystal. It's not here anymore, but thank her for this opportunity and creating safe spaces like this where women, like-minded women, can gather not only to brunch and connect, but to actually grow, reflect, and pour into ourselves. Now, I did have a grounding, breathing exercise, but Ms. Lorraine has covered that, so hopefully everybody is still in the mindset to receive from. You want to breathe with me?
Still do what you do.
Yes, do your
Hey, 2, 3, 4, 5 times don't hurt nobody.
Okay. So before we get into the breathing, I just want to introduce myself briefly. My name is Summer Nicole. I'm the founder of the Wellness Collective, where my mission is to inspire other people, namely women, to live well, thrive well, and be well, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So it is a faith-based organization. Beyond that, I am also the founder of Summer Nicole Speaks, and this is where I specialize in helping women reframing how they relate and respond to love. Oftentimes, we are responding out of our wounds rather than our work. So I help women reframe how they approach that. So now that we've got introductions out of the way, we're here to talk about something that impacts every role that we have and that we carry. Not just entrepreneurship, not just relationship, not just leadership, but it's the foundation underneath it all, and that's our mental health. The truth is, you can have vision, talent, opportunity, and ambition, but if your mind is consistently overwhelmed, you're exhausted, or you're filled with doubt, it becomes difficult to fully show up authentically in your life. So, this isn't about a diagnosis or crisis, but it's about reframing how we think, how we interpret our experiences, how we speak to ourselves, and how we make decisions every single day. So we will do the breathing exercise. So if you would just put your feet flat on the floor. Make sure you're sitting comfortably, relax your shoulders. If you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes, or if not, you can just kind of soften your gaze. We're going to take a deep breath in and hold it for 3 seconds. Release it slowly through your mouth. Inhale again. We're going to be intentional about inhaling peace. We're going to exhale tension. One more deep breath. Inhale for 3. And release. So as you're breathing intentionally, ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Not the strong answer, not the common answer. I'm okay. How are you really feeling? The honest answer. So just take a few seconds to think about that. Now that we center ourselves and grounded ourselves, we can bring our attention back to the room and talk about mental health influences in every area of our lives. So, mental health. It affects how we respond to challenges, how we handle stress. It affects how we communicate and how we see ourselves. Many women in this room, some I know personally, we are all high achieving women, and we learn how to function even while being overwhelmed. I feel like it becomes second nature to us. We know how to show up, we know how to perform, we know how to handle all of our responsibilities. But functioning is not the same as flourishing, and that is truly our purpose. Functioning is not the same as flourishing, which is truly our purpose. You can look successful, you can have everything together on the outside, and still feel mentally exhausted. But when your mental health is supported, there are several things that can happen. You think more clearly, you set healthier boundaries, you recover faster from setbacks because they will happen, and you lead with confidence instead of fear. And because of that, your mindset becomes the lens through which you experience your personal and your professional life. Okay, so that leads us to our very first conversation. How your mindset impacts your every decision that you make. So, I'm going to ask you a question, and if somebody wouldn't mind sharing, I'd greatly appreciate it. How many decisions do you think you make in one day?
500 to 1,000.
500 to 1,000. Anybody else?
I say about 2,000.
About 2,000.
Like me raising my hand, and I want to add it to it.
That was a decision. So hundreds, maybe thousands of decisions, things that we have to filter through every single day. And most of those decisions are filtered through something that we rarely stop to examine. Our beliefs about ourselves. So what we believe about ourselves shapes the decisions that we make. Your mindset influences opportunities you accept or avoid. If your internal belief says, I'm not ready, I'm not qualified, or I don't want to fail, you'll miss out on amazing opportunities. And I can honestly say, I am just now stepping out of my comfort zone because those were my mindsets. That's how I felt about myself. I'm not ready. Somebody want to hear what I got to say. I'm not qualified, and I don't want to fail. But again, you may walk out or away from opportunities that are meant to grow you. And it's not that you lack the ability, because your mindset is trying to protect you from discomfort. So you might think that you lack the ability, but that's not the case. Your mindset is trying to protect you from discomfort. And getting out of your comfort zone is the only way to grow, right? So I'm gonna piggyback on this little green, sorry. And we're gonna talk about boundaries. Your mindset determines what you tolerate. And it's funny that you were asking that question about what do you do when you lose yourself. I feel like that kind of correlates with this because when I lost myself, I became short. I think somebody said that they get frustrated, they get short with people, they get rude. That was me. But your mindset determines what you tolerate. I think you and I talked about ignoring red flags, right? Overgiving, trying to prove yourself just for other people's validation. But a healthy mindset says that I choose what aligns with my peace and my purpose. And I don't have to say yes to everything because no is a complete sentence. And we're going to kind of switch gears and talk about risk and growth. And this, you can apply this to personal life or your professional life. Failure means different things depending on your mindset. One mindset can say, this proves I'm not good. Another says, this is feedback helping me grow. So the same experience, but different interpretations. Your mindset can also affect who you partner with, personally and professionally, how you negotiate, how you advocate for yourself, and how confidently you may lead. And I don't think many women are struggling with capability. They're navigating belief systems shaped by past experiences, rejection, comparison, or survival reasons. How many have operated out of survival mode? How many are still in survival mode? How many of us are on our way out? Yeah, going your way out. Yes. So that really kind of navigates our belief system, what we've experienced, survival mode, rejection, and comparison. I think the common phrase is comparison is a thief of joy. Constantly comparing yourself to someone that you're attaining to be, right? Can steal your joy because you're not there yet. But don't compare yourself because your journey is your story and you'll get where you're supposed to go at the appointed time.
I would like to piggyback on that too about comparison, because everybody's journey is uniquely different. So even when you do get there, your journey and what your outcomes are is not going to mirror somebody else's, because that's not God's journey.
Everybody's journey is different. So your past may explain your mindset, but it does not have to define your future decisions. Your past may explain your mindset, but it does not have to define your future decisions. And I feel like that's a powerful statement because personally, and I was sharing it with some of the ladies in the room, I allow my past, namely personally rather than professionally, to shape how I chose particular partners. And now that is becoming something that I am feeling from, so I can, again, reframe how I relate and respond to love moving forward. So you don't always act based on reality. You act based on what your mind believes is true. And whether that's past experiences, comparison, or rejection. So we're going to take some time to do a little guided reflection. And we're going to recognize negative self-talk. How many have said negative things about yourself? Yes. Now we have to take action, right? And recognize that we're doing that and change to positive self-talk. So we're going to talk about something that we all experience, the voice in our head. Not the voice others hear, the only one you hear, and the one that speaks when something is wrong, when you're trying to something new, and the one that speaks when you look in the mirror and again compare yourselves to others. I want you to stop and think about a recent stressful or challenging moment and ask yourself, what was the first thing I said to myself? A recent stressful or challenging moment. And what was the first thing that you said to yourself? Anybody had stresses this week? Yeah. Okay. What do we say to ourselves, if you don't mind?
To do what motivation or
what was the first thing that came to your mind?
I'm in capacity.
That capacity, that's good. Ain't doing it. That's good. Recognizing that. That's good self-awareness, right? Yes, ma'am.
So like when I'm doing something, my background is a cue for you to go over it, but when it happens, I just like I wonder how this is gonna work in my case because it all does eventually. So
That's good. Okay.
she got one.
You cussed?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
I
said it was all cute.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, find somebody else to do it.
I was gonna say, yeah, I probably said a couple, I do put the baby over there.
You didn't want to say it. What is it?
All of them. All of this, I
just
Having this, that, and whoever else don't wanna put all of it.
That's a real place.
Well, I had my back surgery, and when he told me I had a leg tight, I wasn't concerned. But then he started talking about I can't bend over, and I can't lift up, and I can't twist, and I can't turn. I said, what the hell is going on?
Right. What can I do?
Yes, I can't do nothing. That's what I said.
So we can reframe, thank you for the positive, response. That's what we're trying to get to, but some of us, we ain't there yet. So, sometimes we say, I can't handle this.
Right.
I'm always messing things up. I'm behind. I'm not enough. Negative talk often sounds factual, but it's learned, what you heard from your mother. It comes from experiences, environments, and moments where we felt small and unsupported. So if you do have something to write with, great. If not, just kind of mentally reflect and complete this sentence. Sometimes I tell myself blank. Sometimes I tell myself blank.
Now, is this
We're on negative self-talk. Don't worry, we're gonna reframe it and turn it into a positive. So this is a safe space. There's no judgment, just awareness. Does anybody want to share what they wrote?
Sure.
Yes.
I put, sometimes I tell myself I'm not good enough.
Sometimes I tell myself I should just do it alone.
Can you say it again? I should just do it alone?
So let's reframe the thought. Let's ask ourselves, would I say that to someone that I love? You're not enough. Do it by yourself. Would y'all say that to somebody that you love? Would you say it to a best friend, your child, a baby sitting right there? A best friend? Or even a woman sitting next to you, somebody that you don't even know. Would you share that with them? So why do we do that to ourselves when the first person you are meant to love is you? So here's a simple framework. Similar to Ms. Labrini. I'm so sorry. There is framework to change your behavior, change your thoughts. Number one is notice the thought before it even comes to full fruition. Notice what you're thinking. Number two, challenge the thought. Number three, replace the thought. So you notice it, you challenge it, and you replace it. So just some examples. I'm failing becomes I'm learning. I'm not ready becomes growth happens while I'm figuring this thing out. I'm overwhelmed becomes I need support and I need rest right now. Once you start retraining your brain, it'll start believing what you repeat consistently. So it's important to not only think positive thoughts, but begin to speak them so you can again retrain your brain. So we're going to do a little guided affirmation. So you're just going to repeat after me. I am allowed to grow at my own pace. I am not defined by one hard season. My thoughts do not control me. I choose them. I deserve peace while pursuing my purpose. Now, Ms. Crystal gave us some opportunity for questions and answers, but before we get there, healing often happens when we realize that we're not alone. So again, I'm grateful for spaces like this because there are women that have gone through or are going through your exact season. So I want to open up the space for reflections, an opportunity to share, a mindset shift that you're currently working on, a belief that you're learning to release, or a question about protecting your mental health while managing all of life's responsibilities. So again, you can share a mindset shift that you're working on, and I'll share one here soon. A belief you're learning to release, or a question about protecting your mental health while you are constantly managing life's responsibilities.
The mindset shift that I'm working on is like, for me to stop taking responsibility for other people's comfort and, their emotions and everything else around how I choose to live and what I choose to do for myself. There's been a lot of friction, so it's underway.
Friction with the other
With people, the way that, with doing boundaries, like with
makes them uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like there's been a lot of friction with the way that it hasn't been received by them, and since it's used to me to have boundaries, it's been at times you want to start to question, if this is okay for you to even do this for yourself, because everyone else is telling you that you're being selfish or something, so you're trying to protect yourself. So yeah,
It's a great mindset shift. Anybody else?
I think my mindset shift is being, I'm not who I was. I am in the process of becoming the best version of myself.
Anybody shared on this side? Hardly. Yes, you did. I said hardly.
Oh, I didn't hear about this part.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, and I'll come to Ernest.
Amen. My mindset shift is it's not selfish to choose myself.
Man.
It's so good. It absolutely is.
Okay, so now it's me. I don't be knowing who we
I know.
So one of the things that I think that I'm gonna apply just in our little group thing today is, I've already done it. So sometimes like my intrusive thoughts of like, where I sometimes would hide or, just don't want to be seen because of past experiences. So in my little group session, which they don't even know I love them. But I think that I'm going to really take that and apply because it's something that has been like a thorn in my side, but I realize that sometimes the thorn does not have to be removed in order for me to be able to get to the other side of it. So I'm going to be able to take that and know that I've already done it. Like I've already shown up, I've already done the things, I've already done it. So I am ready to let that marinate in my spirit. Yes.
I'm a woman of faith, and so when you said the thorn doesn't need to be removed, there's an individual in the Bible that asked God, remove this from my. God said, "My grace is sufficient."
Yeah.
So you have everything that you need already inside of you that He provided.
Yes. 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 I was doing that for you.
I think my mindset shift in the season that I am is stepping out of my comfort zone, doing things like this, sharing my story, building a community of like-minded women, because oftentimes you could never get in this position or in this space. I'm so used to being in the background and not in the front of that. God is really calling me to I can't grow if I don't get out of my comfort zone. So this season is all about growth for me. Anybody else want to share? A mindset shift, a belief you're learning to release, or a question about protecting your health? Yes.
I just feel like, this stage in my life that I'm realizing that, I do a lot of things like procrastination and all those things. It stems from fear, and it stems from the belief system
it's not designed that way. You have to go through it to get to it.
It's a word.
What?
I think that like with generations, I think that each generation kind of gets the one below and said like, how are you not using this? I did more, like why can't you handle this? So we handle everything from the previous generation. It's all been on us this entire time, but it's also giving me grace with my kids. And even though like I feel like their life is so cushy, to understand that they're carrying from everything before too. So to be able to like see that in them as well, and to like extend that grace to them and guiding them to who they're becoming.
Anybody in?
Can I add one more thing? So, in this mode of like really identifying and knowing what it is that I want, what I realize is that my healed version, or the part of me that identifies like my triggers and knows how to regulate those a little bit better, that when you were talking about, you know what I'm saying, what your mom said, one of the things that I had to go back and I had to check myself on is when I show up in this new place, this new me, I sometimes expect for people in my life to show up the way that I used to. And so when I used to people please, and so, do all the things for everybody else, and then when they don't do that for me, I'm like, oh, well, they don't even love me. But I'm still trying to teach everybody around me how to be able to set boundaries. But then when I don't see that, I'm like, well, why are you not people pleasing? Because that's what I would have done. I would have done all these different things, you know what I mean? And so sometimes, just being able to identify like what my triggers are, you know what I'm saying, in those things, and just knowing that if I'm telling people to do it, I have to, if I'm doing it for myself and then teaching people to do it, so being able to recognize what that looks like when it's not. Does that make sense for you?
Perfect. So, before we close, I want you all to leave with this. Mental health is not something that you fix once. It's something that we practice daily. Small moments of awareness create lasting transformation. Protecting your mind is not selfish. It is absolutely necessary. Because a healthy mind allows you to love better, lead better, create better, and to live more fully. We all deserve success, but we deserve peace while achieving it. So if today spoke to you, I invite you to connect with me through the Wellness Collective on social media, THEE, the Wellness Collective, where we continue conversations like this through events, coaching, community experiences, all designed to help you live well, thrive well,